Welcome to Stop the Fight. And today we are recapping this weekend's mid-October action. Let's go!
Don't brag about taking my side piece! Don't brag about taking my side piece, no!
I broke my back. Back is broken. Spinal.
And he's strong man, good boy, just.
All right, it's one of those weekends where I was wrong on all the betting calls. Ouch. Well, I was right on not taking Mon at all. But the rest of the calls I was wrong on. I was kind of right except for the big upset about all the ways the fights will go in terms of who will be the winner, who will be the loser, but I don't think many people foresaw that upset. Let me tell you about that. Let's talk first. We'll get to Mikey Garcia's upset loss in a minute. But let's talk about real quick about Marius Breidis. He was pretty good. He looked pretty good against Artur Mon, the unknown, German, right? German of Kazakh descent. And he wound up stopping him, getting him out of there in the third round in his hometown of Riga. It was nice to hear in the post-fight interview Brady speak Latvian. And because, you just don't hear Latvian or Lithuanian or any of the Baltic languages being spoken very often at all. So it was nice to hear that. He got Artur Mon out of there. Artur put up some resistance in the first round, hit Breidis a few times. But again, Breidis is the best cruiserweight right now. And I think, he does really have to make a decision what he does at 36. And he's got to stick with it because his ability to move up to heavyweight, I feel, he doesn't have much time, guys. Like you saw, Usyk, it took him a couple of years and 3 fights to really kind of make heavyweight his own. But Usyk is a bigger guy than Breidis. Because like I said it last time, I know everyone's going to tell me, well, Breidis gave Usyk his toughest fight. Yes, he did. He has a case for even winning the fight. If you said, I truly believe Breidis won that fight, I think it's reasonable if he won a close fight either way. Nonetheless, it was a coin flip of a fight that I thought Usyk won, but I could see it going the other way. Nonetheless, the frame is different. The fighting style is different. These are not the same fighters. Usyk is 3 years or 2 to 3 years younger and has been at heavyweight now for 2 to 3 years. So we're talking about, again, just different circumstances. I feel Breidis can cement his Hall of Fame status by staying a cruiserweight and dominating. There's nothing wrong with being dominant at one weight class. There's nothing wrong with being Marvin Hagler, guys. Come on. Yeah, I keep hearing with Costa too. I keep hearing stuff about, you have to move up. No, you don't. If your body's meant to stay at this weight class, your body's meant to stay at this weight class. Golovkin really is a 160-pounder. He's not 168. He's not 154. He's 160, and that's that. Kovalev, 175. He's too small for cruiserweight, too big for super middleweight. He doesn't need to go anywhere else. That's it. That's where he stays his whole career. Marvin Hagler, 160. That's where he stays his whole career. Even Andre Ward, 168. Not really 160. And let's be frank, not really 175. His victory over Kovalev is just because how good Andre Ward is. But he's not really a 175er. He doesn't have to move up to prove anything. He could have stayed at 168 the entire time. You heard Calzaghe doing the same thing, staying at 168. Marion Breidis could stay at cruiserweight. You do not need to move up to a weight class you won't be successful in. You don't have to do it. If your body, 6'1", 200 sounds about right to me. 6'1", 210, 6'1", 220. How much chub is he going to have? Thomas Adamek, the Polish cruiserweight, who was very good, moved up to heavyweight, and he was a non-factor. A complete non-factor. He was just too small. He went from being a very good cruiserweight fighter to being bottom of the top 10 heavyweight. And I feel the same thing will happen to Breidis. Breidis unfortunately, he'll always be number 2 to Usyk at cruiserweight due to what happened. And obviously he wants to chase and maybe defeat Usyk. But sometimes things are different. Things have passed. I want to bring up Golovkin and Canelo. I do not believe Golovkin will be competitive in a third fight, even though I believe he won the first fight. And for Canelo to, over the course of 24 rounds, it's razor tight between Canelo and Golovkin. They are evenly matched. They are not evenly matched in 2021 and going on 2022. They are just not. And it's not because Canelo had surpassed Golovkin. It's because Golovkin got older. This is not the same Golovkin from 4 years ago. I believe the Golovkin from 4 or 5 years ago still fights Canelo to a draw. I really do. And there was a reason why, and again, no offense to Canelo. I believe he's an amazing fighter. He's currently probably the pound for pound #1 guy. But there's a reason he gave up a title to fight Golovkin in 2013. There's a reason for that. He needed a few more fights. And there's nothing wrong with that. Look, he learned from Floyd Mayweather, taking the challenge too early. But anyway, back to Breidis. I believe he should stay at cruiserweight. I strongly believe so. He doesn't need to go up to heavyweight. No, sir. And worst case scenario, let's say he gets a Tyson Fury fight. Do you believe a 6'9" Tyson Fury is going to lose to a 6'1" Marius Breidis? It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I like I said, I really like Breidis, and I really believe he could get a Hall of Fame career at cruiserweight. He just has to win a few more belts, like completely unify over here, completely be the guy again, show that he is an all-time great, Hall of Fame worthy cruiserweight. And that's that. Or maybe this Bridger weight class thingy that's out now. That's reasonable. But the heavyweights is, you don't need to be fighting anyone who's 240, 6'4", 6'5". They're too big. It's too big. Okay. Like I said, yeah, he beat Archer Mon. Archer Mon actually fought pretty well in the first round. But again, fighting well for one round is not enough at this level. So there we go. I'm happy if you guys listened to me there. You guys did not even attempt to lose any money on that. Now, let's go with Emmanuel Navarrete versus Joed Gonzalez. A pretty good fight. Now, I did take the under here. I thought that Navarrete would get Joed Gonzalez out of there. I believe going into the fight that given the way that Shakur Stevenson had beat Gonzalez, I thought he would be there to be hit by Navarrete all fight long. And he kind of was. The difference here is that Navarrete, Joed Gonzalez's heart and chin was phenomenal. He kept coming forward, giant welt under his eye, and I think he even won a few rounds, to tell you the truth. More than a few. I thought it was like one of those close fights. It just, Navarrete is just edging all the rounds, all the time, type of a deal. So, close fight, but Navarrete couldn't get him out, and Navarrete took a lot of punches from Joed Gonzalez. But like I told you, Joed Gonzalez does not have the power. I don't think Navarrete was ever really hurt. There were a few times he seemed to be a little bit stunned by the shots, but he wasn't ever really hurt. And there should definitely, I know they're talking about, someone mentioned a rematch. No. We don't need to see a rematch of this fight at all. We do not need to see a rematch of this fight. It just won't go any differently. Emmanuel Navarrete is still young. Joed Gonzalez is a little bit older. These kind of beatings, they can only last for so long. Again, same thing with Deontay Wilder. We've talked about it. But I don't believe Emmanuel Navarrete will be competitive at 130 and up. I just don't see it. I think in this super featherweight fight, we saw something here. Featherweight fight. Sorry, guys. In this featherweight fight, we saw that if Joed Gonzalez can do to Emmanuel Navarrete what we saw him do to Emmanuel Navarrete, then what do you think the guys at 130, 135 will do? Yes, Navarrete has strong hands, but he landed all the hands on Gonzalez. So I don't know how strong those hands really are. Yes, at 126, if he stays here, he's good. Who do we have at 126? Leo Santa Cruz, he's back down here, okay. Kid Galahad, okay. Mauricio Lara, right? Warrington. These are Leigh Wood. These are good fighters, and this is the kind of weight class where Emmanuel Navarrete can be the best in with this current crop of fighters. He's the best at, he can be the best at this weight class, and I think he should stay here. But if he goes up to 130 with Valdez, you know what I mean, with Stevenson, with Burcheld, with Herring, I don't know, guys. With Conceição, do you think that he wins any of those fights? I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take these guys here. So, I wouldn't take Navarrete. So, like I said, he did win. He took him to a decision. I thought the under 9.5, or was it 10.5? I thought that would be good at -110. It was not. So, if you took that one, I'm sorry to hear that, we both kind of went on the wrong side. But, like I said, We are all grown people. We all make our own bets and made our own, and we bet, and this is what happens. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You lose this one. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about Mikey Garcia versus the Sandor. I don't even know what that means. I was going to call them Conquistador. Martin Sandor Martin. Guys, this was a huge upset. I couldn't even believe my eyes. I had, by the way, my scorecard only read 3 rounds for Mikey Garcia. And I was telling my wife that there is no chance. I was telling a friend over text, there's no chance that in California they're going to have Mikey lose. Even though I thought Mikey lost 7 of those 10 rounds. 7. I thought maybe there was another round he could have won, but really no more than 4 rounds could this guy have won. So when I heard the scores, 95-95, and then 97-93, 97-93 twice, I was like, oh man, they're really gonna rob him. They're gonna rob him nasty. At least with a draw, you thought like, oh, okay. But I'm like, these were pre-filled cards, and then they're like, no, to the guy from Barcelona. I was like, what? I couldn't believe him. I couldn't believe it. Mikey looked lethargic in there, guys. He looked lethargic. He looked like he didn't even care to box anymore. And it's like I said, Mikey at 126 pounds, even at 130 pounds, was something truly special. Like, I mean, truly, truly special. Mikey at 147, guys, 143, 144 in this case, the catch weight. Guys, Mikey is a very beatable fight. And this, by the way, guys, this actually, unfortunately for Spence, raises questions about Spence. Because I think maybe Sandor did kind of embarrassed Mikey more so than Spence did. I know there were some people that even saying that maybe Jesse Vargas won. I didn't think so. I didn't think Jesse Vargas won the fight. I thought it was a close fight, but I don't think Jesse Vargas won. So we gotta have to reevaluate Mikey going forward. He's fought how many? What they say? He's fought 7 times since 2014. Let me count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was his 8th fight since 2014. That's not very many fights. He took a couple of years off over there. Does Mike even want to fight? He's 33 years old now. He's not getting faster, that's for sure. He didn't look particularly fast. That's absolutely for sure. Sandor Martin, I should keep saying. Sandor Martin looked significantly faster than Mikey in there. Slicker for sure. No, Mikey looked ordinary. Mikey looked like he throws 1-2 and that's that. Mikey's like, I got 2 punches that I throw. How many times did Sandor counter him with the hooks? Jeez. I mean, he landed but significant. Like when I was looking at the CompuBox, some guys, what are you watching? Who's like tracking these CompuBox numbers? Sandor Martin was out landing the cleaner shots, circling. I know Mike Garcia said he was running. He wasn't running, Mikey. Yes, it wasn't an exciting fight. I don't want to rewatch it again. I mean, I will rewatch this one again probably because this was such a significant upset. But wow. And I want to give Sandor Martin props again. And I know Sergio Mora was saying it on the telecast, but this guy said exactly what he was going to do. He came in, he did it, and this is a club fighter. This is a club fighter. He recently lost to Yiget. Not recently, but he lost to Yiget 4 years ago. Come on. Losing to beating Mikey Garcia. I even said a guy who 2 fights ago, prior to the Mike Garcia fight, beat a guy who was 8-9. He didn't even have a winning record. He beat a guy who didn't have a winning record 2 fights ago, and now outboxes Mikey Garcia over 10. Come on. This upset is huge. It's huge. This guy's making a payday. His next fight, he's getting paid. He's getting paid. How great is this to see for a fighter like this? This is amazing. Truly, truly amazing for Sandor Martin, who boxed the night of his life. If there's a rematch, does Mikey wake up, come in and stop Martin? Maybe. Won't matter. It will not matter. Because for these next, certainly for this set of months, Sandor Martin is on top of the world. He really is. Mikey Garcia's got 2 losses, one to Earl Spence and one to literally Sandor Martin. Come on. You can't not love boxing when you hear a story like this. When a club fighter goes from fighting someone who had a losing record to beating Mikey Garcia convincingly in the span of a year and a half, that's boxing for you, ladies and gentlemen. That is boxing. That's why this sport for me, I always be my sport. Back to Barcelona, he goes. No, he's not a champion, but he beat Mikey Garcia, and that's huge news. So, I mean, again, I don't even know what the odds were for this guy. Like I told you, I couldn't even on DraftKings. You couldn't even that's how under marketed and under promoted this fight was in many senses. No one even knew what the odds were. I couldn't even bet on this. Mikey's in a tough spot because, yes, this opens him up for fights, but this opens him up for an ass whipping. If that was a puncher who had some power behind them, you would have, we would be looking at a very different Mikey right now. We'd be looking at potentially is Mikey done? I mean, I think the question is Mikey done is a very reasonable one. Is Mikey done? Someone's got to figure out, is Mikey done? Are we ever going to see him again? We certainly won't see the same Mikey anymore. That's for sure. It's now, I thought it was clear before, but it's now absolutely clear that the Mikey at 126 is long gone. This is the Mikey at 140, 147. This is not anywhere near the same caliber Mikey. And that's okay. Lomachenko's not the same Lomachenko at 135 as he was at 126. Can you imagine Lomachenko at 140? Probably lose up a slew of top 10 guys. Be too small. And here he is, Mikey. He looked a little chunky. Poor definition. I'm not saying you got to look like a bodybuilder, but you got to have a little more definition than that. So, yeah, guys, that's going to do it for me. Another short episode of these post-fights. Again, we have a pretty interesting week of boxing coming up. We'll talk about that on Thursday, and then I'll see you then. It's over.
I'm going to go home and break my wife's hip.
Don't brag about taking my side piece. Don't brag about taking my side piece, though.
I broke my back. Back is broken. Spinal.
And he's strong, man, good boy, just.